this past week has been a sad day for Canadians and a happy day, I guess, for one Canadian. Max Ferguson's retiring after 30 years in CBC. His rawhide and his morning look at the news shows on CBC radio over the years have trod upon many toes, always with a great dash of tremendous humor. I don't think I'm going to talk any longer. I'm just going to say, would you say it for me, please, Alan?
What's that on?
The magic words that you use to introduce our next guest.
Oh, yeah, just a moment.
Okay. 20 years he's been introduced.
Please. And now, here's Max.
Curmudgeon here. You gonna miss him? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they threw away the mold when it was built, and the bolts were riveted into the neck, and the electrodes put on, and they threw away all the...
Precludes any thought, doesn't it, Ren?
Yes, it does. It does.
You didn't know, what year did you meet Allan McFee, Max?
1980.
It's in my diary somewhere. I don't know.
What year did I meet?
Years ago.
25 years ago.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the stock question, which you've been asked. I don't know. Every newspaper and magazine article has asked you, why are you retiring at the age of 52?
Okay. Oh, but Bob, I've been through this.
I'm just sorry.
Next year. Next year. First of all, I would have worn something more TV-ish, but everything is packed in the bottom of a carton, literally.
Really?
All ties given away to my two sons.
But you always wear that everywhere you go.
I'm sorry.
I had one jacket once, but it's back. I'm retiring at this age, and that's a question I do get asked. Why retire at 52? Because the life I'm going to lead in Cape Breton will be so physical, as all that country is, that to wait till normal retirement age and get down there in a wheelchair and be able to just look at the ocean and not swim in it will be much too late. See what happened to him?
I'm thinking it has been, you have really had one heck of a hectic schedule in your radio programs over the last, 20 years or so. That early morning hour, what time, when you were doing the news things, what time did you start that? What time did you
I got up at 5 in the morning, raced up and got the Globe and Mail, down to the studios, and we went live at 7:30 to hit the Maritimes.
More or less.
At reasonably live. See, the Maritimes would be 8:30 then, that's when we went on the air. So we did it live here, shot it down to the Maritimes. It was delayed across the country. But my deadline was 7:30 in the morning. And that's what took
How
it
many
out.
times did you read that paper then through?
Over and over. All the disasters of the world. And I'm trying to find some little item to get a light humorous touch with.
We have a film of one of your skits. You've seen it. Do you remember the news item?
Yes, the news item was one of the many ones that came out of the heart of the Vietnam War, and they were difficult things to find humor with and deal lightly with. But they had announced this morning, the American military, that they were going to use a new weapon in Vietnam, not used since World War I, poison gas, but not the kind that killed people outright, the kind that kind of left you just incapacitated. And I thought, that's kind of heartwarming, because somewhere behind the war machine there is a humanitarian.
All right, let's watch how Max Ferguson treated that particular news item.
Well, I suppose. I wonder what the reaction of the U.S. commanders in the field would be to the use of this poison gas against the Viet Cong.
Well, we've got them in there, boxed in as neat as you please, eh, Major?
Yeah. Yeah, we got about 8 companies in the jungle around that clearing, and look at those Viet Cong guys. About 150 of them there huddled together in the clearing, sitting ducks.
You been on the field telephone?
Yeah, well, the helicopters are coming in.
Oh, when we drop those gases on them, they're going to really have a fit, aren't they?
Well, I don't know about that. I've ordered the helicopters not to drop any of the gases.
Major, you kidding? It's been authorized by Washington.
I know, but comes a time when every individual commander has to make his own decision and look into his heart, and, well, I don't know. I just told these helicopter pilots that I want no gas drop on these fellas.
Gee, Major, I don't want to call you soft, but you sure are humanitarian.
Well, no time for accolades right now. Give me the walkie-talkie, will you?
Yeah, here, Major.
Hello, attention. Helicopter pilots. This is Major Forbes. I want to reconfirm my earlier order that under no conditions will gas be dropped on this pocket of Viet Cong we've got cornered here. I see you're just coming in low level now, fellas. I can spot you coming in from the southwest. Under no circumstances use gas on these Viet Cong.
Major, if we had more humanitarians like you here.
Shut up just a second. All right, fellas, you're just about over the target area. Let those napalm bombs go at will.
I don't know, Major. If we had more humanitarians like you in the...
Just a second, will you, please? I can remember as a kid being sick. And I'll never forget. It's a frightening experience for a kid to be sick, and it's always stayed with me. And I don't know, if we dropped gases on those fellas out there, and I had to stand here and watch them being sick, it's more than I can take.
Well, I just want to say once again, if we had more humanitarians...
Just a second, will you? Keep quiet. All right, you men. You men here in the jungle, you've got a clear field across that opening there, clearing. Just try and get a crossfire going, all right? Let those automatic weapons go.
Major, I just want to say once again, if we had more humanitarians...
Shut up just a second, will you? Gang, with those flamethrowers, try and... I know there's an inferno out there, but try and burn the ground and not the guys.
Oh, you're a real humanitarian, Major. If we had more fellas like you, I'd be...
You had your eyes closed through that. That wasn't scripted at all. Did you keep notes or?
No, there are no notes. In the old Rawhide days where I did long skit adaptations of great works of literature, I worked from script, but there was no time in the morning for those skits. I got a general idea of which way I was going to go. Half my mind split on what voices I was going to use, and the other half was on actually what those voices were going to say. But nothing was written down. It just wasn't time.
Rawhide, you say, in one article I read about you said that the stake has been driven into Rawhide's heart that he's dead.
Yeah.
What killed Rawhide?
The realization one day, after doing that for I don't know how many years, that this could keep going until it was my normal speaking voice. And I no longer have to drop it down there and talk like that with all the sibilants. It would be my normal speak. That shook me when I suddenly realized that. And I drove the stake through his heart.
Have you gone back and listened to any of the old Rawhide tapes or any of the Rawhide
I
shows?
hate hearing them.
Do you really?
I looked through some old scripts the other day, wondering, will I take them to Cape Breton or won't? A big bundle of them. And it was so depressing. Everybody in was dead. Everybody, yeah. All the people I referred to, personalities, yeah, all gone. All gone.
Was there any?
He's the only one left, and I'm not sure about him.
Are your scripts copyrighted?
Leave them with me, if not. Leave them with you.
Were there any of the people that you imitated and did skits about that you ever sort of looked back and said, oh gosh, why did I do that? Or was there any regret about some of the people you took apart?
No. For all the things I've said about the CBC, I must give credit where credit is due. I can never recall being censored or told, stay off this, don't do that. And in return, I tried to use a bit of discretion and tact. I don't think I ever viciously attacked anybody. Mind you, I put parliamentarians in ludicrous situations, but they were all pretty good sports about it. I had John Diefenbaker on Groundhog Day on his hands and knees on the floor of the House of Commons, and Buster Pearson asked him, what on earth you're doing this for in the House of Commons? And the reply was, I'm ascertaining whether or not my shadow is visible. If I see it, I'll stay on for another 5 years. And he took it all. He wrote me several very nice letters and said he enjoyed being referred to on. I don't know if they could have heard all of them, mind you, but they were all good sports about.
Was there ever anyone who really took umbrage at?
Oh yeah.
Any particular one that you remember?
Robert Thompson. The name's almost vanished, but he used to lead the Social Credit Party.
Mm-hmm.
And I was down in Montreal doing a little acting show, and he came running out of the newsroom. Can we get you on the 6 o'clock television news? And I said, well, there's not too much newsworthiness in the fact that I'm here. Oh, no, haven't you seen the Star? So there's my picture on the front page, right beside Robert Thompson. And I was up on charge for sedition, blasphemy, just about everything except child molestation.
What had you done?
I had done a skit based on a news story that day. They were going to reenact as part of our centennial year celebrations the Battle of Lundy's Lane. And I had the skit where President Johnson at that time was sitting with Prime Minister Pearson, and they're saying how nice it is that we can sit and watch a mock battle that the two great countries are so friendly and everything. And all of a sudden, in the little musketry sounds of 1812, you suddenly hear great big jet roars, Sherman tanks, and Mr. Pearson is very disturbed. Mr. President, those look like jets coming down there. Yes. I'm sure those are Sherman tanks rolling through. Well, we lost this battle once, and we aren't able to lose it twice. That's the skit. That was seditious, blasphemous, what have you.
We're going to take a time out right now from talking to Max Ferguson and come back and with the question, are you going to miss all this? You know, and whenever a group of broadcasters get together, one of their announcers, there's always you start trading fluffs and goofs. Are there any fluffs and goofs that
You mean when they get together on air?
Yeah, well, no, that's when they fluff and goof. Are there any favorite fluffs and goofs that you remember? That you can tell on the
Well,
air.
you can't tell. He's never made a mistake. That's all.
He's never made a mistake.
Impeccable.
Oh, well, yes. The toughest one, really. I used to do 2 skits in the morning, looks at the news, not just one, in my ambitious days. And we had a sound effects man, a very good one, had a little bit of a problem at times. And this particular morning, he was a bit under the weather, but he was very conscientious. There were 2 skits. One was a custom story, something that happened at Niagara Falls, New York. The second skit was going to be something that happened in Halifax Harbor. So he came up to me and said, now the first skit is the custom, yeah, just general traffic noise and cue. And he said, the second one is Halifax Harbor, yeah, a few seagulls, boat whistles, okay. We had 10 minutes to airtime, came over again, checked. He must have checked it out about 8 times. So we got on the air, played the opening selection. I said, yesterday in Niagara Falls, New York, there was quite a bit of confusion. The customs zone set up the story, whatever it was, through the queue, and I heard, seagulls, and I hadn't even thought about that skit. I was going to do that while my other record was on, and suddenly I had to recreate that skit. Barely knew what I was doing, and that was a kind of a strenuous moment.
Did they ever give you wrong sound effects?
Yeah. That film clip that you showed was from a big thing the National Film Board did, and I was supposed to get out because they were going to ask my sound effects man, John Sliz, who appeared on that little film clip, about me. So I was hustling out modestly out of the studio, and all I heard as I went by was, well, with no scripts, Mr. Sliz, what do you do if you lose Max and get mixed up in the thread thing? And I heard John say, well, we have a rule of thumb in the sound effects department. Whenever we're lost, we always open a door. And suddenly I realized over the years why, if I'm out in a doorway doing a skit with 2 Newfoundland fishermen, suddenly a door would open. It's my job then to explain why a door is being opened out in the Atlantic.
Are you going to miss all this?
Yeah.
as they say?
Oh, I will. I will indeed. Yeah. Right now, of course, I'm chomping at the bit to get off, but I think on long winter nights as the 6 feet of snow falls over my property in Cape Breton, the fishermen tell me they can't even get in on snowshoes, I think I will probably think back. Sitting in front of the fire and seeing a lot of memories in the flames, and faces in the charred ashes. And you look like a charred ash.
It's like a Hungarian piece.
Are you going to do any sort of writing or creating?
I don't. I'm going down, not wanting to write my own name, at least for a year, but I'm enough of a realist to think that stagnation may set in. And if I feel, I haven't felt it for a year, but a creative outlet, I would like to do it through writing rather than getting back into 5-a-week radio.
5 week, what about once a week radio or something like that?
No, not even once a week radio. Once a year radio.